see. And though I try to break away, I know I can't stop saying I adore him, can't stop doing things for him.
That opening scene, that juxtaposition between happiness and pain, innocence and lost innocence, fiction and reality. This is Autumn, and the song she is singing is He's Got the Power by the Exciters. Originally released in 1963, the tune was intended to be a girl group pop song with a peppy, upbeat tone, similar to a female barbershop quartet, complete with the main singer smiling as she sings these questionable lyrics. One could easily listen to this song on the radio with a sense of joy, without ever thinking about the lyrics. However, by turning the song into a somber, country-like solo with an acoustic guitar, Autumn is able to reveal what the song really means. It is a cry for help, a story of a dark, abusive, manipulative relationship of which the songwriter cannot escape from. The purpose of an opening is to introduce aspects of the story in an engaging manner. And what better way to start such a heart-wrenching story than this simple yet powerful opening? This is Never Rarely, Sometimes Always. The film follows a 17-year-old girl who was forced into a lifestyle she did not choose, while living in a part of the world where there's nothing she can do about it. A part of the world that isn't all that foreign to us Americans. While carrying this burden, she is surrounded by dismissive parents, and the implied conceiver of the embryo who does not treat her like a significant other, but more like an object or a pet.
Tell her how great she was.
It's kind of hard to compliment someone who's always in a foul mood.
It's a phase.
Keep telling yourself that.
She then gives herself a self-induced nose piercing, a small step towards independence, but one that symbolizes her choices throughout the rest of the film. In her first attempt to take matters into her own hands, she is met with endless pressure to keep the baby.
But I'm sure once you have that beautiful baby in your arms, you'll forget you ever had any doubts. I know these things. I'm a mother.
I just can't imagine that for myself.
They even try to glorify the experience, knowing that she's underaged and not ready to raise a child.
This is your beautiful baby. You are about 10 weeks along. Hard to say precisely, but everything looks pretty normal.
She is then shown propaganda that misses the point and is more concerned about the life of a hypothetical person rather than the lives of real people. At home, she is given indirect reminders of how she was treated through the father's dialogue towards the family pet.
Like that. No slide. There's no slide.
Stop.
What? She likes it. She's a girl. What? Look how easy she is.
She then goes to drastic measures to terminate the pregnancy, as people inevitably do when not given a safe and legal option. Along the way, Autumn and her cousin Skylar are constantly hit on by other guys, opening the door for another mistake.
Looks suspiciously like you are throwing a party.
Hey, you inviting yourself?
No, just an observation.
As soon as Skylar catches on to what's going on, she does everything in her power to save Autumn from her predicament, proving to be the one person in Autumn's life that is neither dismissive or antagonistic, and thus begins a journey onto unfamiliar territory, going from a small town in Pennsylvania to New York City, where they have to confront endless barrages of people, protesters, and a machine that takes your money just so you can lose a game of tic-tac-toe to a chicken. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the significance of the chicken is. I think someone who worked on this film just found it out of the blue and were like, hey, you want some comic relief in the film? Either way, it's a conversation starter, I guess. It's chicken playing tic-tac-toe. My neighbor's got chickens. The use of lesser-known actors, in combination with down-to-earth cinematography, minimal music, and scenes with very little dialogue, create an experience that feels real to the audience. The director of the film, Eliza Hittman, takes a more naturalistic approach to the look of the film, similar to the films of Richard Linklater. For a film about a subject matter as heavy as this, it is essential for the film to look and feel as real to us as humanly possible. That is not to say that the film has no artistic flair through the cinematography. This shot, for example, as the oiling process begins, the camera slowly pans to the sky, likely symbolizing where Autumn would much rather be than in this room, in this predicament that she was forced into. Not to mention all of the scenes of her riding on trains and buses, representing the few moments of relaxation, but also the looming threat of what to expect next from such an unpredictable trip. But the most profound shot of all can be found in the scene where the meaning of the title of the film is revealed. Just one long shot of Autumn talking to a professional off-screen as she's being questioned. I have removed the audio, but note the gradual change in her performance, naturally going from indifference to protective to a cathartic release of emotion. The film expertly portrays the process of facing your demons after suppressing them for so long. The actress playing Autumn is credited as Sydney Flanagan. Upon further research, I was shocked to find out that she had no prior acting experience.
I got this part in a very unconventional way. I've never acted before, but Eliza and I had met in passing when I was like 14 in my hometown in Buffalo. Her partner was making a film there, and I was just kind of hanging out on the outskirts, and we met one time, but they followed me on Facebook and would watch the videos I'd post of me playing music, and they reached out to me.
I'll drink whatever you're drinking. I'll do whatever you're thinking. I better start looking for someone new.
Prior to starring in this movie, she was performing music on her YouTube channel to a small audience. Her lack of experience becomes null and void when you see her performance in this film. She expertly portrays the vulnerable teen carrying the heavy burden. Throughout the entire film, you can't help but notice the anger, the pain, and the sadness as she tries to cope with what was given to her. Another admirable performance comes from Talia Ryder. Starting off as an actress on Broadway, this was her first feature-length film. She plays Skylar, Autumn's cousin. She expertly portrays the supportive friend willing to go to dramatic lengths to save someone from a drastic fate. Together, these two portray characters that feel like real people, almost like someone you would know, someone you've talked to before, a friend of a friend, a sister of a friend, which is essential for generating empathy on such a heated and misunderstood topic. This film is an emotional and medically accurate portrayal of this procedure. It is painful, yes, but that pain is not exaggerated for the sake of instilling fear into the audience. It just shows you how it's done, explains through dialogue how it feels, and that's it. If by the end of the film you are still skeptical, then by all means, do your own research from the medical professionals who deemed this movie to be accurate. The film was rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Associations of America. This isn't normally something I would bring attention to, but I notice that the film gets away with a lot for such a rating. The MPAA has made a lot of questionable decisions in the past, decisions that has led to them being labeled as homophobic, sexist, among other things. As noted in the excellent documentary, this film is not yet rated. The rating for this film, however, I think is necessary. Someone that meaning knew what demographic needed to see this film the most. So, as you can imagine, I've been wanting to make a video on this film for a while now. I first saw it way back during lockdown on Amazon Prime. And yeah, obviously the movie hit me pretty hard, hence the more serious, soft-spoken tone I'm going for with this video compared to what I usually make. I kept thinking about what to say about this film, but after a while I just figured it deserved something better than just a first impressions video. So, a year or so goes by, and I noticed that this movie is playing at the Traverse City Film Festival, and I figured, why not? I liked it the first time, and I feel like financially supporting indie films anyway. And you know, when a movie is done playing in the theater, you'll see people in the audience either clapping or mumble to themselves about what they just saw. That didn't happen here. The room was dead silent. As for me personally, the film hit me even harder on the second viewing. Not because I saw it in a theater, not because I hadn't seen it in a while, but because of this.
And the Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade, that they have eliminated the constitutional right to an abortion. And at first glance, this opinion is very similar to that draft opinion that we saw leaked just about a month and a half ago.
This new law passed last month rolled that back even further, said that you can no longer get an abortion in the state if your pregnancy is 15 weeks along or further. And it turns out it's much more than just a 15-week ban. There's already only 2 clinics that provide abortions in the whole state of Kentucky. They're both located in Louisville. Tonight, both of those clinics say that because of the way this law is written, not just because of the 15-week ban, but because of the other restrictions in the bill that are designed to make it basically impossible for anybody to legally provide any abortion in the state, both of those clinics, the last 2 clinics in the state, tell us tonight that there is no way for them to comply with this new law. Today is a landmark. Because today, for the first time since Roe versus Wade, Supreme Court decision in 1973, today, the first American state has gone dark to outright block all legal access to abortions in the state. Full stop. Kentucky is the first one.
So they say the Republican nominee for governor in Michigan said she opposes abortion in cases of rape, even when the victim is a child, because of the bond that the mother and child will eventually enjoy. Quote, I am pro-life.
The current frontrunner on the GOP side saying in a recent interview a teenage victim of sexual assault is a, quote, perfect example of why abortion should be banned.
In an interview with a conservative online news outlet, Tudor Dixon, the leading candidate to become the Republican nominee for governor, asked about whether a 14-year-old victim of incestuous rape should have access to abortion. Her answer making national headlines.
Perfect example, because I know people who are the product. I'd like this a life for me.
The film was released in 2020, 2 years before Roe v. Wade was overturned. As the film demonstrates, it was hard enough to get this procedure for this one person. And each day, the government is making it even harder. Ironic. We're a country that prides itself in our freedoms. And yet, it is far too easy to take them away. This is exactly why films like this are so important. The entire divide stems from a lack of understanding and empathy on this issue. Some hold these positions for monetary gain, political power, or any sort of relevancy. Others simply have tunnel vision and only look at one part of the issue and form their view just based on that alone. They don't take in consideration an involuntary conception. They don't take in consideration the possibility of a child being conceived not out of love, but as a form of power in an abusive relationship. They don't take in consideration the complicated procedure in giving birth and the many, many people that have died in the process.
I was editing my first feature and I was reading a newspaper and I read an article that really stunned me and devastated me. It was about a woman in Ireland named Savita Halapanavar who passed away in Galway in a hospital because she died of a septic miscarriage, being denied a life-saving abortion. And I started doing all this reading and thinking about how far she would have had to travel to save her life.
Movies are a machine that generate empathy. You may never know 100% what it's like to be someone like Autumn, but you can at least educate yourself and get a better understanding. So please, watch this film. I don't care who you are, where you come from, or what you were raised to believe. Watch this film. Even if you think your views on the subject matter has already been formed one way or another, watch this film. If you are someone who claims to care about the freedom of others, watch this film. If you believe that we should listen to people that we don't agree with, rather than push them away and demonize them, watch this film. Observe the pain, the anguish, and the contrast between fake love and real love. Observe the constant hoops these women have to jump through just to get what is necessary, and think about this. This entire movie would have never happened if this procedure was available worldwide.
I saw you weren't at school today.
I went to the doctor.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What's wrong?
Girl problems?
Bad cramps.
Yeah.
I get those too. Pretty much run through a bottle of painkillers like every month.
Yeah, same.
Don't you ever just wish you were a dude?
All the time.